February 7, 2019 at 7:31 p.m. Roll call, please.
Director Boyd,
Here.
Director Lohman,
Here.
Director Slater-Carter,
Present?
Director Harvey,
Here.
Director Marshall.
Here.
Good. President's statement. I will save you all from the pain of a president's state of the district. We're doing well.
Who gets to do the
That's all we
rebuttal?
need to say. The rebuttal. Would you like to do the
I'll do
rebuttal?
the rebuttal.
Okay. That was good. We have no public hearing, oral comments for items other than those on the agenda. I have one speaker slip from Greg Diegas.
Greg Diegas, Montara. I've asked to be appointed, I've applied for an open position on the MCC. And my
You
concern,
just turned the lights down.
Oh, that was part of the presentation.
my concern is
You got our attention.
that in order to make the right decisions for the Mid-Coast, we need to have an understanding of some of the dynamics that have gone on, not only in this water district, but Sam, Granada, and so forth. I'm aware there are 2 or 3 lawsuits. People can't talk about certain things. There's articles and editorials flying around in the Half Moon Bay Review. Thank you for your attempt there, Rick. But we have to have a fact-based foundation for understanding the right policy decision criteria and ultimately plans and decisions we need to make. So my request of the board, and I can't make it too specific, is would somebody please explain the history of Sam and Half Moon Bay and how they did or did not undermine the success of the jointly owned entity. We need to have that as a basis to present to the community so that we can reach a rational decision at some point. And I don't know when I can ask you to do that, and I don't know how much I can ask you to disclose, but whether I get appointed to the MCC or I'm just a rabble-rouser, people ought to have some shared understanding of the evidence. Thank you.
Well, I'm sure any one of us would love to sit down with you and give you our personal opinion, but if we wanted to do it as an agenda item, it would have to be very, very neutrally fact-based. And you can always do that at a future meeting, but in fact, going out and having a beer with any one of us would be far much more fun, so.
If expensive.
Yes,
Depends who's buying.
but thank you for your comments. Moving on to consent agenda. Do we have any items that anybody wants to pull?
I move approval of the consent agenda.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Moving on to old business, we have none. Hey, we could get this meeting out before 8 if we work hard. Oh, wait, we have a lot of new business.
You had to say something.
Yes.
Sorry. First item under new business, review and possible action concerning Sewer Authority Mid-Coast Side fiscal year 1819 interim budget amendment.
Thanks, Catherine. So at the last SAM meeting, that was on January 28th, the SAM board approved a budget amendment for distribution to the member agencies. The Sewer Authority is asking for an additional $328,000. That's a 5.4% overall budget increase to this current year's budget. Our share of that 328,000 is 67,500 and some dollars. The items are more or less for, there's $100,000 for additional legal services, that is for the ERF lawsuit. There is accounting services of $60,000, fire control panels, sprinklers, etc. Those are, understand those are permit requirements that were triggered are $68,000. So the majority of these items, I understand, were already approved by the SAM board for use. So SAM is now asking to recover these costs through a mid-year budget amendment. And the recommendation is to adopt a resolution of the Montara Water and Sanitary District consenting to approval of amendment to Sewer Authority Mid-Coast Side general budget for the fiscal year 18-19.
Okay. Do we have any comments from the public? Seeing none,
Do we have
board
any,
members?
what's our SAM representatives?
My thoughts on this thing, you know, a budget's always a budget, which isn't, you know, anything locked into law. If you find things that pop up during the year, like these new electrical panels they need and other things, I'm trying to camera up there. I had people say that we need to replace them, so we need to replace them. SAM employees are in danger. When you're playing with big electrical stuff, you just have to fix it. The legal fees, as Clemens said briefly, with the suits that are going on right now from some environmental groups about the spill, the attorney's contract has been extended until the end of June. Somebody's got to attack the lawsuits, so he has to do it, and there is an upper limit set on that one. And I forgot what the other item was, but
There were, I was just looking at it. It was the
Oh, the
accounting
accounting
services
services, yeah.
that was recommended by the auditor.
right. And SAM, I think years ago, we started reducing SAM's reserves. If SAM had normal reserves, they probably could have picked up some of these things. I believe, I remember years ago, the districts pulled back the reserves, saying stuff like, why should SAM have the reserves? Why don't the districts keep the reserves? And if SAM needs money, we'll give them more money.
I could add to that, and if this
So,
goes to one of your questions. More than once, when it came time to fund items in the budget that we really needed to fund, I don't remember how many occasions we did this, but I remember sometime back, no, maybe 09, 10, 11, 12, somewhere in there, Half Moon Bay was facing some real tight fiscal constraints, had to do with lawsuits of their own, and Montara and Granada agreed to go ahead and fund some of those projects from reserves rather than increase the, you know, rather than get those through the charges to the member agencies. And through some of that work, that started drawing down reserves, basically paying for operating expenses out of savings instead of through operating revenues from the member agencies. So it's one reason on more than one occasion where we started to draw down reserves with the idea that we would start to replenish those. And in recent years, getting agreement to do that has been increasingly difficult. So
I'd
that's where some
like
of
to
that-
add one more item onto that, is we had a very brief discussion of a few minutes about the whole reserve thing, and I believe the president accepted my recommendation to put it on the agenda for the next SAM meeting, which would be started complete now, a reevaluation of the whole reserve policy. So we'll be looking into that and looking for feedback from everybody, including the managers, and how to deal with reserves, so we don't have to go through this in process all the time. So.
Well, I'm familiar with 5 of the 6 items, and the sixth one is the electrical work, and that's 15,000. If we got that recommendation, that one's really strong. The others, the legal services, the ERF lawsuit, we need to do this. And the accounting services, I strongly supported that when I was on the SAM board, so it's got to get paid for. So the inspections, yeah. So I'm supportive of this. I don't like things coming late in the year. Most of these are exceptional things. I'd like to see us get into a posture, and this may be, feedback for our representatives, but I'd like to see us get into a posture where a regular inspection regimen is just annually budgeted for. So the inspection of the bus stop and other such key pieces of infrastructure it's just part of the cost of the business. We need to encourage Sam to have that in the budget and to spend that money on a regular basis.
I think that's a good plan, and Sam, through Beverly, the general manager, and through staff, has been creating checklists and programs of inspection and keeping track of things. And I think that once this lawsuit is finished, Sam will be able to move towards getting itself into the 21st century in terms of maintenance and repair and inspections and so on. One of the things we do need to work at, however, as you mentioned and Rick mentioned, is our reserve policy. So Sam doesn't need to come back to the agencies. It may boost our payments to Sam because they're kept artificially low by not having a reserve. But if Sam can work to create either specific reserve funds or special, I don't know, some kind of accounting system that it has designated funds for these kinds of things, I think that we will be able to take care of a lot of these problems. But the revolving door of managers and interim managers and so on has left Sam in as everyone's heard me say, in a very weak position in terms of even taking care of itself. What I see happening at SAM now is we've got excellent staff and good management, and so I think we're moving forward as we should be. Do we have a motion? Do we have any more comments?
No, thank you, Rick, for that background. That you, I was there too. That was 10 years ago. When reserves, we talked about that. We were promised that the next year we would build the reserves back up, but that didn't quite work out that way.
Okay.
Yes, I'll make the motion.
I'll
Okay,
second.
motion by Jim, second by Scott. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to review and possible action concerning confirmation of officers' appointment to CSDA.
I think we have
You
the
skipped number
Which-
2 there.
Oh, did I skip that?
Wagner
Oh,
Well
I'm sorry.
Rehab Project
I
first.
know you're
Oh.
trying to get the meeting done
I am.
quickly, but
Review
you gotta
and
hit 'em all.
possible action concerning Wagner Well Rehab and water main replacement project authorization to bid.
Okay, I think the title pretty much says it all. We're looking to replace pretty much all of the above-ground structures at the Wagner Well. This has really nothing to do with the well itself. And the below-ground well is in perfect condition. However, we are also looking to replace the pipe that goes to the Drake well, at least almost all the way to there. Those are really old structures that, by the way, the Wagner well is one of the first wells in the district. The first owner of the water system in Montara was Mr. Wagner, and he drilled this well. We've actually put the bid documents in here. Usually we have just a paper copy aside, so this time around everybody get a chance to see. In any case, we are recommending to adopt a resolution of the Montara Water and Sanitary District approving the contract documents, including design plans, specs for Wagner Well Rehab and water main replacement project authorizing and directing advertisement for bids therefor, determining project exempt under the California Environmental Quality Act, and authorizing and directing the filing of notice of exemption.
Good. Thank you for including all of that. Comments from the public, I see no slips. Comments from the board. Do I have comments from the board?
Fine, yeah, I'll speak, fine.
Period.
I actually
Oh.
like anything that,
Quick comment,
yeah,
just push forward.
will do. Capital improvements, love it. I think it's important that we continue to move forward with that. Infrastructure is important, I think not only to the district, but making sure that, we're maintaining and staying ahead of the game as opposed to falling behind. So from my perspective, I have no issues with this.
Thank you, appreciate it. I forgot to mention that we're looking at costs of around $200,000 for this project.
Any more comments?
Total agreement with Eric.
Yeah.
Thank you for a lot of detail in this. I appreciate that. With that,
Well,
we just need a simple motion.
since I'm president.
No, this is a resolution.
This is a resolution,
So
but
I
since I'm
move-
president, I'm going to speak first. And that is, this is a great project. How many people are aware that on 6th Street, we're doing a sewer main replacement? I haven't seen any, thank you. I haven't seen any
thirsty.
signs about it, and so I had to stop and ask the workers. And they thought, who's that crazy woman asking us what we're doing? But I would like to see signs telling the public what we're using their money for at both ends of a project. And also explaining why the traffic is not being, is being slowed down below the normal 20 miles an hour.
Yeah.
We really do need to be in the habit of making sure we have those signs up, that they're well placed and maintained. Because we're spending a lot of money on these, and I want people to know what we're doing. I'm proud of what we're doing.
If I can, I'd say that's similar to what the county does with their tax dollars. You saw where they're doing that. I think it's important that we advertise ourselves as this is where your dollars are going.
Exactly.
And we do this with every project usually. I know the beginning of the project was very much in difficult locations. Now that we're on the streets, I think we're gonna look into where the signs.
Please, because it's exciting stuff.
Absolutely.
So Scott, you had a motion.
Yeah. I'd like to move adoption of the resolution next in order. The resolution of the Montara Water and Sanitary District approving contract documents, including design plans, specifications for the Wagner Well Rehabilitation Water Main Replacement Project, authorizing and directing advertisement for bids, therefore determining project exempt under California Environmental Quality Act, and authorizing and directing filing notice of exemption.
I second it.
Motion by Scott, second by Eric. And this is a resolution, so we need a roll call vote.
Director Boyd,
Aye.
Director Loman,
Aye.
Director Slater Carter,
Yes.
Director Harvey,
Aye.
Director Marshall.
Aye.
Good, motion carries. Now we're to review
There you go.
and possible action concerning confirmation of appointment, officer's appointment to California Special District Association.
Thanks, Catherine. Yeah, this goes back to a request from Director Lohman. There have been difficulties at the CSDA, a local CSDA chapter, to get a quorum of eligible voters for the major actions. And at the next meeting there is actually going to be the LAFCO vote, and CSDA asked for confirmation of who's actually going to be. I already actually electronically let them know that it's going to be Rick, but and there's some additional paperwork that they're asking for that we're going to submit. In any case, we want to support this and make sure that Rick can vote on Monday. We also want to make sure that
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Tuesday, on the 12th. yes.
Because he will be at SAM
That's
on
right.
Monday.
And we
Don't
also want to
confuse me.
make sure that anyone else of our directors who has to attend in lieu of Rick, if that is, should ever be the case, has the right to sign and vote for us. So we prepared a resolution that allows anyone to do this. So the recommendation is to adopt another resolution conforming appointments to the CSDA for 2019.
Just one quick
Comments?
comment. These are official LAFCO procedures. The technical voter is always the president of the district. So if the president of the district can't actually attend and vote for the LAFCO rep, we are required to create a resolution authorizing somebody else to vote because the president can't be there. So that's what this whole rigmarole is so we can represent our districts in the vote on this particular vote.
Right. And for folks, CSDA is the California Special District Association. There's also a San Mateo County chapter. And it is an organization formed by the special districts that lobbies and works to keep people aware of special districts and the importance they have in local communities. For instance, many cities have sewer functions, but they never have meetings about their sewers. People or water functions, they never know what real improvements are being made in their systems. All of that is done by staff sort of in the background, and the CSDA and special districts are very, very dedicated to making sure the public knows what their money is being spent on, and in fact, under state law, we are limited to what we can spend our money on. So it doesn't, you'll see during the budget process exactly where our money is going, and it goes to the functions of our district. So the public gets direct benefit that way. It's a resolution next in order, so let's have a roll call vote.
Director Blank?
Aye.
Director
Oh, wait,
Long?
did we have a motion?
If you didn't write it down, let's do
I
it.
didn't write it down. Why don't we have a motion? Sorry. Who would like to make the motion? I will make the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, Scott? All right, now we'll do it in order.
Director Boyd?
Aye.
Director Loman?
Aye.
Director Slater Carter?
Aye.
Director Harvey?
Aye.
Director Marshall?
Aye.
So Rick, you're going to, you'll be there on the 12th?
I'll be on 12th. This is they meet quarterly,
Okay,
and they usually have a speaker and that sort of thing.
okay, good.
Okay, item 4, review of new intake structure for Alta Vista
Treatment plan.
treatment plant.
Thank you. Yes, we had to, I mean, in a header, we don't like to abbreviate, but it would have been pretty long. This is an item that we actually verbally mentioned already, I think, at the last meeting. I thought it was worth making it its own agenda item. We wanted to particularly show actually the pictures. The intake structure at the Alta Vista treatment plant was...
Oh, so we're gonna show pictures?
Well, we have them in here in the packet.
Oh,
The
okay.
packets, the pictures that we have in the packet. We didn't prepare to throw them up on the
Okay.
wall, unfortunately.
Which is online if you're watching on camera.
Yeah. So, it was an old deteriorated box, a very simple structure, and our staff has done just a tremendous job applying new technology. And it's kind of shown here, these new filter technologies. And it's self-cleaning, screening filter, the entire box out of NSF 61 approved material. It was constructed down here, taken apart, hauled up, and put together. All in all, this was only possible since we actually had our recent access program where we actually established access. Access to the site was extremely difficult, and we built a couple of bridges that allowed us to get up there. And we thought it was worth showing here also because I don't think any director has seen this before, with exception now of our two new folks
Yep.
that received a tour.
Okay.
But I don't think any one of you guys have ever
No.
visited our diversion box simply because it wasn't accessible.
No.
So,
So we can get a trip?
Yeah.
yes,
Whoa.
but what it really also does is it allows us to run the plant through rain events, which was before a real issue. To turn the plant off during the rain. I mean, it's not like we lost a lot of water, but it is definitely an increase in our water supply of some sorts now that we have this box. And so I think we can, really congratulate our team in implementing, this design and then the construction of the box. And so it works flawlessly. We're really happy with it.
And it uses the Coanda effect,
It does.
which is, I guess, really cool thing to do.
Pretty cool to see.
And what is that, and what is that?
I'm just reading, I read.
Oh.
I'm guessing it's like a colander, it's got holes and stuff can go through, but
Right.
the holes
I'm
are
learning
small
something.
enough that all the,
Yeah, everything else rolls right
Self-cleaning.
Right.
That's self.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's actually
And
pretty,
so
pretty well engineered.
This is functioning now.
Yeah.
It is up and running since a month and a half, and so we have only positive results in the rainy season, which
Right.
usually has been a real problem for us.
Well, I've been following the weather report, and they're saying tomorrow we're going to be getting over an inch of rain, so it will be a good test.
Watch out for the long-term forecast. The mid next week looks like there's a very heavy storm rolling in.
Oh, even more.
Yes.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Yay, we need that graph going up. Okay, do we have let me see, this is a report.
This is just a report. This is just for
just a
board
report.
information.
Okay.
So thanks for listening.
I have a request, and that is that for our website, things like this should be, maybe we could have,
That's
we've
a
got
great
a current
idea. Put some
event
pictures
section
up.
and notes about the Wagner Well and the new
The
main
notes about the
line.
Wagner well, we
Oh.
want to maybe be able to make changes to the design.
Right.
So even though you approved it, there are other reasons why we don't want necessarily this,
But you
the
could just
design
put a
documents
note,
up on the
you could,
website.
no, I'm not saying that, but, and nobody wants to read them all anyway. But you can say, the Wagner Well, we're making these improvements to it with some little bullet points, so that if people have a question about what's going on, they can go to our website and see. Great.
As the volunteer assistant for the proposed newsletter, I think there are 3 agenda items so far today. The 6th Street main investment, where you want the signs, the Wagner Well, and then this, which ought to be journaled for us to write up for the newsletter.
Good point. Thank you.
Thanks, Craig.
So, now we have receipt of the Association of California Water Agencies Joint Powers Authority President's Special Recognition Award.
Thank you, Catherine. So we actually switched in January 2013 to Aqua JPIA for our workers' comp insurance. And that was due to the high comp rate that we had with the prior insurance. Of course, the comp rate is a factor, and what goes mainly into that factor is the number of injuries that we had, and there was indeed a series of smaller injuries, but reportable injuries that we've seen prior to 2013. There's altogether, this works with a 3-year lag, how that factor is applied, and that's why that all accumulated at one point, so that we actually, in 2012, we spent over $60,000 in workers' comp insurance. And Aqua JPA has just done a tremendous job working with us compared to the other insurance that we've seen before. They come in on a regular basis. They seek contact with us and really help us implement programs that increase the safety for our workers. And that has paid off, and that's what we're showing here. So our factor dropped from 2.12 to currently 0.85, and we're gonna pay around $15,000. So it was definitely worth the effort. And that is acknowledged through the President's Special Recognition Award, and we've gotten it, so we want to show it off, and here it is.
There it is.
Wow. And that's a tribute to you and to our staff.
Yes.
And
It's definitely
deeply
staff that we
appreciated.
have to
And
congratulate them.
we have a while to go before we catch up with Sam.
That's what I was gonna ask, is could we mention that at the SAM meeting, we had a brief discussion about Sam's safety record and how many days without an injury, and
3,000?
the number was so big, I forgot, I couldn't write
Yeah.
it down anymore.
If it was dollars, I
10,
could go
yeah,
to
but-
Las Vegas.
Approximately, the number of days without accidents was in
Off
that.
the top of my head, I do not. I'm sorry.
Oh, darn. It was 3,000 something. It's like an amazing
I can
number.
look it up real quick.
Sure.
Yeah.
My Wi-Fi stuff.
Okay, well, that, and again, congratulations and thank you. And review and possible action concerning the cancellation of next regular scheduled meeting in February.
So for now, we anticipate that we can skip the second meeting in February, and we're looking at the first meeting in March, which falls on the 1st. March
7th.
Excuse me, 7, yes. March
Yes.
7.
And if something comes up, we may
Hold,
reinstate.
yes, that's right. Reinstate this meeting or
this
hold a
meeting.
special meeting
So-
if need
So
be.
I got
put
a-
a
I got-
question
I got a
mark on your,
question before
put
we
a
do that.
question mark on your calendar.
But how about we put it on the February 21st meeting?
Well, yeah,
I'm sorry, yes, and you pointed it out already to
Oh.
me, I'm sorry. It's February 21st, not February 18th.
Okay.
So we're gonna make sure that that's
right,
clear. Thanks, Scott.
Okay.
okay.
Catherine, I have a question on that, on timing and other things that are happening. How does this match up with legal meetings which are scheduled for mediation? Are we gonna, by March, or
we-
things moving too fast, or we don't get enough information back, or is
We
there?
have something to discuss in closed session tonight, but the next meeting with the judge is in April.
Okay, so we're not,
No, we'll have time.
right, we can talk about it later too. I just-
Right.
I would like, continuous board input into all those meetings, so I don't want that sort of.
Absolutely.
Great.
And I would rather err on the side of having too much board input rather than
Mhm.
too little, even though I do know I can take care of all the problems. Let's go into reports. Sewer Authority Mid-Coastside meeting, and it says Boyd, but it can now be edited to read Slater, Carter, and Loman. Rick, why don't you start?
I think we hit the big things were the budgets and discussions about Sam's amazing safety record were the big ones. We just had a lot of discussions about all the details of the budget bumping up. I don't. Did you have the actual agenda there? I didn't pull it
I
up.
do have the actual agenda. There's a
Actually
consent
attached.
agenda,
Mm-hmm.
a regular business.
It was the,
The important thing was the mid-year budget.
mhm.
One other thing that has been accomplished with Sam, with the Finance Committee, and with special thanks to Barbara Dye, is we have been putting together a budget process that was developed by the Sam Finance Committee with a timeline so that everybody's clear on what agencies and what Sam and what committees are supposed to do by when. We can always get things done earlier, but those are the theoretical deadlines for the past couple of years, we've had some confusion and some stalling on getting things done, and there's been a lot of finger pointing. It's not good for Sam, it's not good for the agencies, it's essentially not good at all. So we've put this together and are optimistic that it will help clarify and make things more transparent for the public. What else? So that was it.
And we just mentioned that we're gonna talk about the reserves, which we already talked about. So.
Right. The other is that the attorney for Sam, his contract is up soon. We had asked him to stay until the end of the fiscal year for Sam. And at the Ops Committee, we actually were thinking about asking him to extend his contract for a year, but that's something that needs to be discussed between by the board. And so, because with the lawsuits that are going on, it's nice to have the same conductor for the whole concert rather than stepping out in the middle. So we're optimistic that that will happen. And that's it for the SAM. There was not a lot. The next agenda is Monday night, and what is on that? For those of you who really want to see it.
Now, that would be a good opportunity to mention that the SAM website, the Sewer Authority Mid-Coast website, is at samcleanswater.org, where all of the agendas are posted, and the minutes, and many other interesting documents.
So there's some regular housekeeping stuff on February 11, but the big one for people to watch will be the history of flare repairs and cost and long-term solutions, which is pretty interesting actually, because the flare is a expensive piece of equipment and it needs some major repairs. So I'm glad Sam is looking for alternatives.
So we're not talking about flare-ups from the actual directors there. This is the,
No, and we're not talking about the flare that you wear when you're
right.
This is burning off the excess gas that's
Yep.
generated by the digesters when it deals with processing the solid matter that arrives at SAM.
Okay, moving on, Mid-Coast Community Council meeting, there is a vacancy. I think the deadline is the end of February for submitting your application. No?
It's already passed.
Oh, it's already
The decision
passed.
will be made, I'm told, by February 22nd.
Oh, okay, I misread that then. Please stay tuned. CSDA report, Rick, I'm gonna let you take that.
We have not had a meeting since the last meeting, since November or something.
Okay. Director's report.
Next meeting will
Oh,
actually be-
attorney's report. Sorry.
No report other than I'm Christine Fitzgerald,
And
sitting
Christine.
in for Dave
Hello.
Schricker tonight, who was unable to attend.
You look different, so I picked that up on it.
She looks the same. Looks different. She looks the same.
Good, great.
Director's reports. Do we have-
Yeah, I wanted to say something. I just showed Rick, there's a site that is really cool. It's called, a wind map.
Ooh.
And this thing is really cool. You can't see it from back there, but it shows the wind direction throughout the country. And it's a dynamic thing, and it's pretty accurate. So when a storm comes on the coast, the wind comes from the south, and you can see it coming. And the website is hint.fm/wind/. So hint.fm/wind/. It shows the storms going right across the country, the wind direction. It's just an amazing wind coming from Canada, and it gives you a good, it's better than any weather forecast that you can see. It's a dynamic thing, and it's very accurate.
Will that be in the minutes?
Yes.
Sure. There's actually some other sites that I can recommend that are probably even better. Go to earthnull.net, for example.
What was that again?
It's a digital globe that you can grab and turn and put all kinds
Earth
of
what?
factors. It's a
Earth?
earthnull.net.
No.
Earth N-U-L-L.
Oh, null.
No.
Earthnull.net,
Okay.
which is
Okay, cool.
really impressive.
There are others, and I'll show you some afterwards.
Ton of those.
All right.
My favorite one is Ventusky, it's VENTUSKY.com.
Mhm.
Not that get too intrigued by
We get
this
really
stuff here.
nice wind here in Montara, so you know,
We-
it's kind of nice
we
to
do.
know, are we hitting any records today? You know, it's really windy.
Right.
Okay, any other director's reports?
No.
Okay, I have one request, and that is, if you have an agenda item that you would like, please email it to Clemens and to me. At least, you know, we try and get it as soon as possible, so if we're going to put it on the agenda, we can have it there. Typically, if you ask for an agenda item, it's your responsibility to provide the background and the information for it. So it's the good news, bad news kind of thing. But if it is regular district business, then we will attend to it as we can, but,
Kathy, you said to contact either you or?
no,
Both.
Clemens and I, both.
Both, okay.
It's an and, not an or.
Okay, and.
That way, we're not responsible for getting back in touch with each other as busy as Clemens is.
So Clemens first and then you?
Just CC on the email.
Okay, all right.
Good, general manager's report.
Nothing.
Okay, future agendas. Do we have any items?
I'll email you.
You'll email me, thank you very much. Let's convene in closed session then. Take
So
a brief recess.
if I could, President
Yes,
Slater Carter, thank you. We do have a matter, litigation matter, the first one, City of Half Moon Bay, on the closed session agenda. It has come to my attention, there may be potential conflicts of interest with two of our directors. And I've, giving this thought over the last several days. Since the potential conflict has been raised, the individual directors have an opportunity at this point to declare the potential conflict and that their intention to recuse themselves if there's a conflict. If that's to occur, it should occur now in open session, so we have a record, and I would recommend that once we convene in closed session, that no discussion take place on the litigation until and unless the directors recuse themselves or we make a determination as to whether there is a conflict and how to proceed with
Okay.
making that determination. Does that make
Sounds
sense
good.
to everyone?
should we reorder the closed session agenda to put the City of Half Moon Bay, the good guys, at the end of the closed session agenda, so that,
We can get
depending
through
on the, so they can be
Yeah.
present for the whole closed
Right.
session agenda?
I'd say good to that.
Okay. And with that, we will take a brief break and
Yep.
reconvene in closed session.